It's Monday, and you know what that means. Jersey First TV proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk, and I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, a top 50 Latino for 2022 and 2023. Certainly the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media. Folks, the traffic will tell you the people's choice and the people's voice, and without a doubt, the most handsome face that runs the place. It is me, Fernando Uribe. Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Happy October. As it's great to see, obviously, leaves changing colors. My favorite time of the year, October, obviously, Halloween. And here on Jersey First TV and on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe for the entire month of October. As you can see, I'm rocking that pink in support of the American Cancer Society. And certainly, since it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, for making strides against breast cancer. And folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so tonight, right now on Facebook Live via StreamYard, also on the Jersey First YouTube page, as well as on LinkedIn, and of course, all of our social media platforms. Speaking of course, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe and Jersey First, of course, on Facebook. Don't forget to follow Jersey First on Instagram and Twitter, as well as my own handle at the Fernando Zone. And certainly for all you YouTube subscribers, click the subscribe button and you'll be automatically getting notifications about all the wonderful content brought to you by Jersey First TV. And of course, wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud, hey, whether you're visiting that annoying mother-in-law, maybe visiting, your girlfriend on campus, whether you're just running errands, going to the gym, whatever it is you're doing, folks, I'm sure you're listening to some podcasts. Why not listen to Jersey First TV? Of course, all our episodes are available there free of charge to download anywhere at any time. Of course, take Jersey First TV with you during these autumn days. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot say enough about how proud I am to be on the dream team of New Jersey media. Of course, folks, it's Jersey First TV. Yes, we're always educating and advocating for the people of New Jersey. Certainly my amazing teammates, ladies and gentlemen, the incredible Elizabeth Nader, with brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative, premiere every Thursday via jerseyfirst.org/TV and also on the Jersey First YouTube page, and brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap with AJ Malilo and Stephen Rimbolo also on Thursdays. And of course, you can check out Real Talk with Fernando Uribe every Monday night at either 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Eastern time here once again. And of course, I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so. Folks, a lot to cover tonight on the show. You definitely want to stick around because I do want to thank all of you, because once again, for the month of September, ladies and gentlemen, 21,000 plus views, all organic, ladies and gentlemen. No, nothing boosted here. Okay, it's not like people going for their 25th, booster vaccine or anything like that. It's as organic as the produce section at your local Whole Foods and also Trader Joe's, folks. Again, without all of you, this number would not be possible. And listen, and I'm deeply humbled by this traffic. And for those of you that know me, I'm not the most humble guy around, but certainly I'm very humbled when I see all the support every single month for Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV. And of course, folks, I'll have a lot to say about that later on in the show. You definitely want to also stick around for final thoughts. I'll have a lot to say about good old Uncle Alan Steinberg, as he never really, folks, his nonsense never ceases to amaze me. And I'll definitely cover that during final thoughts. Folks, again, sharing is caring. Click that share button right now. Again, we're rocking that pink during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, folks. We'll be rocking pink all throughout the month of October here on Jersey First TV, as we proudly support the American Cancer Society and making strides against breast cancer. Now, folks, it is election season coming up in 5 weeks. On November the 7th, it is election day here in the state of New Jersey. And of course, when you think about election day, you think about all 120 legislative seats up for grabs. Obviously, you also see county commissioner races, very important board of ed races, but elections that usually sometimes go under the radar. And unfortunately, that seems to be the case, but not this year, folks. Whether it's in nearby Hoboken, council races, whether it's in Kearney or anywhere else, folks, council races are going to be one of the most hotly contested races in recent electoral history in New Jersey. And folks, we have a lot to cover during this election season. Again, 5 weeks away on November the 7th. Make sure you register to vote. And of course, when we talk about local elections, folks, local politics matters. And why not start in the beautiful borough of Bogota, New Jersey, folks? A wonderful, borough in Bergen County. Great places to shop, live. Hey, folks, it's a wonderful borough. And of course, we got council races coming up on November the 7th. And joining me tonight here live is one of the council candidates, folks. And he's a big fan of the show. He's Marco Navarro. Join us here on Real Talk. Marco, how are you?
Hey, Fernando, how you doing?
Good to have you on here, man. Once again, thank you for joining us here on Jersey First TV. And folks, if you're curious about all the great really dynamics about the borough of Bogota, check out the town website at bogotaonline.org. Certainly a lot of things going on there, whether it's about government, departments, boards and commissions, community, and much more. Check out all the great stuff going on in the borough of Bogota. Marco, again, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Let's just sort of, cut to the nitty gritty, as they say. When people are running for local office, it sort of leads me to believe that sometimes people aren't happy with their representation, and that's why they choose to run. Is that the case here in 2023 for you?
I would say something similar to that. I've been working in public safety, public service for about 12 years. I've been eyeballing some political things going on throughout the years. And this year, when I finally moved into Bogota, I was looking into seeing how local government works differently from my hometown. And after meeting a couple of people in the borough, they kind of helped me out to try to get started with politics on the borough.
All right, good stuff. And folks, again, if you're just joining us right now live, sharing is caring. Click that share button, and make sure you let everybody know on your news feeds about Jersey First TV, of course, how much you love Real Talk with Fernando. As my guest tonight is Bogota Council candidate Marco Navarro. Now, Marco, one of the things that's interesting about the borough of Bogota, it's most people kind of drive by it and don't realize it when they're driving either on Route 1 as they're getting to Grand Avenue, as they're driving, obviously through, all the multiple ways to drive through the borough. I mean, it has to be one of the nicest suburban areas in Bergen County, but it's also, I think, a very diverse community along socioeconomic lines. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. I mean, I never really knew of Bogota's existence until I started looking for a house during the COVID pandemic. And it's like came to walk around the community and meeting people. It's very, very diverse. There's a big amount of Hispanics in this area, to believe it or not.
Now, also, I mean, listen, the census data will tell us that very much like Bogota, very much like Bergen County, nearby Hudson County, New Jersey, the country, I mean, it's not getting whiter, it's not getting blacker, it is getting browner.
Absolutely.
Specifically within our community. And certainly, Bogota's no different. What have you been seeing during the summer months, obviously, and now into the fall, as you and your ticket have been knocking on doors, phone banking, obviously going to, the usual stuff like food festivals, arts and crafts activities, things that people will congregate at. And obviously, this is your opportunity to meet, hopefully, your future constituents. What's been the biggest, or maybe let's say top 3 issues that people have brought to your attention when, again, you're knocking on doors, passing out pamphlets, and talking to residents in the borough?
I would say I've spoken to a lot of people, and they seem to have all about the similar issues. Number 1 would be public safety. Number 2 will basically be taxes. Nobody likes taxes. Can't promise everybody that taxes are going to be lower, which is not going to happen. We're more on the basis of stabilizing the taxes. Also, people are speaking about sidewalks. We need sidewalk repairs. We need tree repairs. We need roads, speeding. Those are the top 5, top 6 that people are very concerned about when it comes to the borough.
Would we also maybe include infrastructure? Because, where I live in Hudson County, it seems like it takes like forever to pave a sidewalk or pave a road, whether it's a county road, a local road. Are we seeing that also in Bogota? Listen, it's that part of Bergen County that intersects a lot of, there's county roads, local roads. Are you also seeing that?
Absolutely. I've asked a lot of questions about that to my colleagues and others in Borough Hall. As we know it, I'm from my hometown's Union City, been there for many years. We're already used to the local officials taking care of the sidewalks, making new sidewalks, and the homeowners, the property owners don't have much of a worry about that. when you come to Bergen County, as far as Bogota borough, as far as I know, the homeowner is actually in charge of the sidewalk, unless we have a borough tree that is interfering with the maintenance of the sidewalk. Then I would say the borough would be in charge of fixing it. Otherwise, it's a lot of uneven sidewalks. To tell you a little bit of a story, my wife went out for a run one day and she fractured her ankle on one of these uneven sidewalks. So sidewalks is a very, very big thing around here, and I would say it's kind of dangerous when it comes to walking around. Sometimes I have to resort to pushing my stroller on the actual street than a sidewalk.
Wow, that sounds like madness to me. I would never think that. Obviously, listen, I'm spoiled here living in Union City. My mayor is also my state senator, so when things need to get done, I mean, they get done. So I think in that regard, I'm a little spoiled. But obviously, every county is different. Every municipality is different. So I don't ever like to generalize. But having said that, though, during this election season, and listen, Marco, I got to tell you that whether it's Hudson County all the way down to Atlantic County, Hunterdon, Morris, you name it. I mean, politics it gets very fickle. And from what I'm hearing, Bergen County politics gets about as toxic as it gets about as toxic as dating Ecuadorian women, and I can say that out loud, so it gets pretty fickle to say the least. But what have you been seeing about Bergen County politics and in the borough of Bogota specifically?
I have no audio, Fernando.
Do you hear me, Marco? You might have to. Okay, I think it might be on your end, man. It might be on your end. I'm not sure. I think it might be your Wi-Fi. Do you hear me at all? Okay, you might want to reboot.
Reboot?
Yeah, reboot and come back on again, man. It must be that Wi-Fi there. You're outside or something. Maybe it's probably that, bro. So yeah, just log off real quick. Shut down and turn it back on again. Again, you're outside. It's unpredictable. You know what I'm saying? So
back though.
Yeah. So just reboot real quick. I'm still here. We're still live. I'm not going anywhere. Okay. So just reboot real quick. Okay. All right, folks. Again, don't go anywhere. We got Marco Navarro, council candidate, here live on the show. Certainly, he'll be back with us in just a few seconds. So listen, folks, it's technology. For the first time in a while, I don't want to jinx it, but so far Verizon Fios seems to be okay tonight, which is a miracle because we all know Verizon Fios is trash. Having said that, Wi-Fi is unpredictable, so don't go anywhere. Marco Navarro will join us in just a moment again. And folks, if you just joined us live right now, again, sharing is caring. Click that share button right now, and let everyone know how much you love Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, I'm rocking that pink. Since it is October, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and certainly I'll share some more information with you a little later in the broadcast about the annual extravaganza I host on behalf of the American Cancer Society. Folks, you'll be happy to know I'll be hosting the 2023 edition of A Professor's Quest to Save Breasts later on this month from a wonderful venue in North Bergen, New Jersey, named Lolita's. For all of you that grew up here, if you love going to Sabor, you'll know exactly the venue I'm talking about. More on that a little bit later, folks. And I can't say enough about how dedicated I am to volunteering for the American Cancer Society. Again, I'm rocking pink, not just tonight, but all month long. And I'll tell you more about the annual extravaganza to benefit making strides against breast cancer. I do see Marco join us again. Let's see if we get him. Okay, wow, this is much better. Like, bro, you're crisp. Yeah, you're crisp here, bro.
I just did it through my phone. I was like,
oh, that's amazing. That's perfect. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes it just takes a phone. Sometimes it just takes an iPhone like that. But you're crisp, man. Folks, again, we appreciate you sticking with us here. Joining me live once again is Bogota Council candidate Marco Navarro. Join us here on Real Talk. So, Marco, as I was saying before, and I always, I can't help these little jabs. Obviously, Bergen County politics gets very fickle. People get very feisty. It gets chippy. Even in whether it's a town like Bogota or anywhere. I mean, like Bergen County politics, man, it gets toxic. It's almost, it reminds me of like dating Ecuadorian women. It's like, it's that like, it's like, it's almost suffocating, but I'm sure some people are going to appreciate that. But I have a good sample size, so I could talk about it, folks. But in all seriousness, though, Marco, we know election season, gets people, very animated. What are you seeing right now in the borough of Bogota as you're running for council?
Well, that was going to be a big concern when we all decided who was going to end up running and everything. And I always vowed that I was going to act the most appropriate professional candidate that the probably haven't seen. As I said, I'm new in the borough, so it's not like I have any ill will with anybody. I'll treat everybody with respect and professionalism. So as I was going to start this campaign, I vowed that I was going to keep it that way. Um, and I'm planning on keeping it that way. Right now, everything's been perfect. Everything's been professional. Everything's been very cordial. A few little lawn signs have been stolen here and there from what I hear, which is I don't know exactly who it is yet, but I wouldn't throw that out there. But there's no personal jabs or anything as of this moment, and I like to keep it this way.
And that's healthy, man. And I respect that because, like, listen, whether it's local, county, state, federal, people get emotional during election season. People get very tribal. People, it's almost like sports, unfortunately. I think people like their teams, whether they're R's or D's. And having said that, because it is a municipal race, again, in a lot of municipalities, though, Marco, throughout the state of New Jersey, races like this tend to be, again, nonpartisan. It's not like along party lines. That's not the case in Bogota, for example. Like, there are Republicans running, there are Democrats running, correct? And so where do you fall? And also, too, like, has that also been tribal?
Well, I am a Republican. In my earlier ages, I was also a Democrat, but I went from Democrat to Republican as things change in the politics. But
Yeah, you know what? You start paying taxes. You become a grown up.
exactly.
That's how people realize. You go from being a liberal to, like, oh yeah, money isn't printed on trees. But I'm sorry. Go on.
Exactly, and unfortunate because when I was younger, in my early 20s, when I first started voting, I was a Democrat because I figured every Hispanic is a Democrat. So I fell into those lines, and then as soon as I started realizing how politics is working and different ideologies and where my morals and ethics are, I switched over to the Republican side. But unfortunately, this borough, we do have to run as a partisan town. I understand that they've tried to petition to change that, and a few years ago, that was before my time. Um, Unfortunately, it has to be this way because there are good members on one side and good members on the other side. I wish we could all work together into one team instead of worrying about party lines. But party lines not going to move Bogota forward. Absolutely not.
All right, fair enough. And I think, again, during a season like this, people can get, as I said, very tribal. And whether it's next to your name, sometimes all it takes to trigger somebody is, hey, is that an R or is that a D? And you'd be surprised how people react to you. But again, at a local level, listen, again, no one's talking about President Biden and the disaster that is the Biden administration. No one's talking about the clown show that is Kamala Harris. It's a local election. So
Yes.
at the end of the day, it's about the local issues. It's about, as we talked about before, property taxes, certainly school budgets, what's going on with hiring more police officers, more firefighters, more EMS workers. I think, again, at the end of the day, that's how we look at local races. What's being used in terms of your tax dollars to hire more personnel? What's being done to make the township or borough you live in a better place? And I think at the end of the day, I would argue that's probably the crux of the issue, right?
Absolutely. Right now, the taxes, like I said before, we can't promise you that it's going to be lowered, but 2/3 of the taxes go to the Board of Ed. The Board of Ed right now statistically has more employees than the borough itself at this time. Uh, but majority, so a good 2/3 of the taxes go to the Board of Ed, and it's very important for the Board of Ed because you need the teachers, you need the principals, you need all the resources there. Which the Board of Ed also just currently passed a referendum which is going to enable to build a brand new turf field, uh, do some reconstructions to the schools, some refurnishing, and there's a lot of upgrades that needs to be done to all of these facilities, which is going to bring up the taxes a little bit. I'm going to be honest. It's going to bring up the taxes a little bit, but the referendum passed with flying colors. When it comes to public safety, that's my really, really big thing because of my career. Um, I'm I'm always pushing forward to how can we advance with public safety. There's always room for improvements. Right now, the police department is doing an outstanding job. They're doing what they need to be doing. They're at capacity. Unfortunately, vehicles get used up and they get worn out. So they need vehicles for public safety, and the more these vehicles are being used, the more at risk they're putting themselves of an accident occurring, or even worse, when they have an arrestee or a detainee and then they have to transport that person and they get into an accident because the vehicle is not maintained, then that person can get injured, and then here comes a lawsuit. So I think these are very important. The current council right now is looking into how they can have these new vehicles that the police department is asking for. They're in dire need of it. There are programs out there for it, but the current council is not moving fast enough for this. And I believe that we need to just get this going, because the police department needs what they need in order to keep this community safe.
And it's interesting though, Mark. And folks, if you just joined us right now, it's 7:21 here on the East Coast. Click that share button, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. My guest tonight is council candidate in the borough of Bogota, New Jersey, a wonderful township in Bergen County. He is Marco Navarro. Join us here on Real Talk. You know, it's interesting you bring up public safety and certainly the need to hire more law enforcement to make sure that a town really can preserve the quality of life. And I just think, listen, we're living in a climate where we are seeing more and more sort of like disorderly behavior. We're seeing car thefts. We're seeing vandalism. We're seeing shoplifting. It just seems like, you know, we're living in a climate, though, Marco, that now more than ever, like we need to make sure that our police departments are funded, that we need to make sure that, hey, we have enough law enforcement personnel that can address these issues. Even in a township like Bogota, no one's, listen, we all know the disaster that is like Newark and Patterson and Trenton and New Brunswick and Camden and the south side of Jersey City. Those are big cities. We're talking about tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of people. That's not the case in Bogota here. Okay. I mean, I'm just looking at, for example, like some numbers here about what Bogota is. I mean, it's not a big township per se. In the regards of like, you know, when we talk about population, but it doesn't mean, listen, it's right under 10,000 according to the latest census data. It's around a little over 8,700 residents in the township of Bogota. So, I mean, listen, you grew up in Union City, 8,000 people is probably like Bergen Line Avenue. Okay. So, I mean, that's, that's really how small that township is, but it doesn't mean that we can't preserve quality of life and we obviously can't prioritize it. That seems to be the case, as I mentioned, in Bogota. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. I mean, Bogota does have its numbers in the amount of residents that it has, but it is a pass-through borough. So we have commuters from New York, Teaneck, and all the different areas from Hudson County, Bergen County, just happen to pass through during the hours of the day. So it's like the population increases with those commutes. So we do have our residents, but we also have those that pass through on a daily basis for their commute to work, home, or whatever it is that they go.
No, certainly. Absolutely. You mentioned the addition of a possible turf field. Obviously, I think that's vital. You know, we always value high school sports. We value athletics so much at a local level. We want to make sure that our football teams, our soccer teams, baseball, track and field, soccer. Listen, at the end of the day, it goes back to the way we look at school budgets. And I sort of want to pick your brain because in addition to council races like yours in the town, in the borough of Bogota, nearby by me in Hoboken, obviously Kearney, other municipalities throughout the state, you know, Board of Ed races seem to be in the headlines now more than ever, Marco. And I can't, speak of what's going on in Bogota, but it just seems like now more than ever, parents are really concerned about what goes on in their children's education, and rightfully so, because again, the professors might be teaching a civics lesson here. So students out there, pay attention. Your property taxes pay for school budgets. So if parents want to raise an objection about what's being taught in schools, what books are being circulated, or what curriculum is being, disseminated, I think parents have a right to speak up. And, it doesn't make them bigoted. It doesn't make them a homophobe or a transphobe. I think this is nonsense. And again, in a town like Bogota, during this election season, at the state level, there's a culture war type of conversation. That's not the case in Bogota.
So before I answer that, I just wanted to give a little disclaimer, because since I am on the board member on the Board of Education here in Bogota, I'm here representing myself as a borough council candidate. So I'm not speaking on behalf as the Board of Education or as a board member. But to answer your question, we always encourage parents to attend the meetings at the Board of Education and raise up any concerns. I've been keeping a very close eye out to the local, state, and national politics when it comes to the Board of Educations. I can say that during my short time with the Board of Ed that we haven't encountered those issues as of yet. The staff and the administrators at the Board of Ed are doing a fantastic job adapting to the state guidelines. Unfortunately, they do have to follow those state guidelines, but they work with the students to work with their families. So in no way, shape, or form is this an environment that we don't care about parental rights or anything. Although they have to follow the state guidelines, but they work with the students to work with their own families. They are very proactive when it comes to not just education, but I would say being the parent outside of home and actually guiding them in the right direction. I'm very proud with it with this district, and it's completely different from it's been going on in the news in other areas.
No, certainly. And again, especially in this season, now more than ever, even statewide, I mean, whether it's Board of Ed races, legislative races, I mean, the culture wars are out there, and I'm one of the few journalists that's talking about it consistently every week in New Jersey media. Getting back to the Township of Bogota, again, in your race, you did mention, obviously, it is a partisan race. Obviously, you're running as a Republican. There is a Democratic opponent that you have. What are you coming across right now in the sense of support? Because it depends on the county, though, Marco. County Republican parties, county Democratic parties, committees, whether or not they're being helpful, whether or not they're going to be serviceable during election season. What's your experience thus far with the Bergen County Republican organization? I think it's the BCRO. I believe that's the correct name. What's been the assistance like? Do you feel good about, reaching out to independents and making sure that your candidacy is a winning one?
Well, I've been reaching out to not only just Republicans, independents,
Sure.
Democrats, unaffiliated, even those Democrats that vote Democrat all 4 years. But
Yeah.
we've been reaching out to everybody because we just never know when a Democrat will actually vote Republican or vice versa. So I feel like it's very important just to reach out to as much people as we can. As far as the county, like I said, I'm new to when it comes to the politics in Bergen County. I am familiar with the BCRO. My colleagues are in contact with them. They do support our ticket. They have posted on I believe it was their Facebook that they posted on one of our lawn signs. But they are supportive. They're supportive to our ticket. I haven't interacted with them myself like that. Hopefully in the near future I will. There's a couple of dinners that I'll be attending, so I'll be meeting some more people.
Now, again, it's 5 weeks away. It might seem like a lifetime, but it really isn't. I mean, it's going to fly by during the month of October, and before you know it, November 7th is here. What's been really, from your experience thus far, the most effective way to reach out to potential voters during this election season? Is it using social media? Is it going to, again, food festivals? It's autumn. Is it autumn activities? What have you seen thus far that's been the most effective for you and your ticket, Marco?
So everybody gives us feedback. We've been walking almost every week, meeting different residents in different districts, and they always tell us the same thing. I am happy you came and knocked on my door. I finally get to meet you. Finally, somebody knocked on my doors. Finally, somebody I can ask questions to. They are very, very excited and happy that we are knocking on their doors, introducing ourselves, and letting them know that this is what we're running for. This is what we believe in. Regardless of party or what you belong to or what you believe in, we ask for your support, and we speak to everybody. We keep getting such a tremendous amount of feedback that we're actually knocking on doors, and they're very, very proud of that.
Getting back again to sort of, it is a partisan election per se within the borough. I haven't seen any data thus far, but is it fair to say that there are more registered Democrats than Republicans in the borough, or are there just as many independents and or unaffiliated as well?
I don't have the exact numbers, but there's definitely more Democrats than there is Republicans in the borough. And
Yeah,
there's also a big amount of unaffiliated.
I mean, that's certainly the case even statewide. I mean, I know that there's, listen, the margin's narrowing, thankfully. Obviously, it's under actually less than 1 million on a statewide level, but, county by county, I think you're seeing, a season where, and listen, I don't want to get overly partisan about this, but, the news cycle is interesting, Marco, because, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, people get tribal, as I said before, about parties and about titles and what you identify as or what don't you identify as. And I think it's interesting, in a time where, gas is almost $4. We have a bumbling, guy who takes naps, at 4 PM and calls it a day in the White House. And you got, at the state level, you have a governor that, really acted irresponsibly during COVID. You have legislators in Trenton enabling him. At a local level, are you seeing people that when you knock on their doors or talk to them during these festivals, during the summer, during the fall, do people get that animated and say, well, oh, are you a Republican? And oh man, Democrats are ruining the state or Democrats are ruining the country, which is true. But do you get that sort of feedback from people at a local level as well?
Oh, absolutely. When it comes to parties, everybody's already affiliating us to like the issues that's going on now on the state and national level.
Yeah.
We met a lot of Republicans who are Trump, in favor of Trump, and those who are not in favor of Trump. So they give us their opinions and everything. And we've met a lot of Democrats also that say, "Oh, well, you're Republican, so you're Trump voters. You're the MAGA Trumps." Or we always tell them that when it comes to Bogota, we don't want to really worry about the issues at the national level. We worry about Bogota. We leave all those issues to DC. We leave it to them since that's why they're there. They're getting paid for that. But we want to worry more of what's going on in Bogota because, like I tell every single person, it is not about party line that's going to help move this community forward.
No, absolutely. You are on the board of ed. I also want to ask you this again. Maybe you're not privy, or I can't be privy to this information, but I mean, just sort of looking at my notes here. Has the population in Bogota grown to a point though where there might be the necessity to build another school within the borough? Because as we're seeing statewide, I mean, populations are just booming everywhere. Is that something that's on the horizon, or is that something that's being discussed? Because, for example, I live in Union City. They're going to be building a new middle school that will be opening sometime between 2025 and 2026. Now, again, it's apples and oranges. A city like Union City, we're talking about like 50, almost 60,000 residents and growing. That's not the case with Bogota, as I said before. We're talking about 8,800 residents. But despite that, you're in a part of Bergen County that's pretty, I mean, again, comparatively speaking to other towns in northern Bergen County, I mean, it's densely populated in that area. Okay, it's not Alpine, it's not Paramus, it's not Mawa or Hohokus. I mean, you're in an area near Teaneck and other towns that, for the better part, visually, it's densely populated. So is that something that's on the horizon in Bogota that you suspect?
I wouldn't per se of building a brand new facility. As far as I was told, when COVID happened, the private school closed down, and the district needed the private school in order to start the middle school. So they've been using the former private school, and they converted it into a middle school. With this new referendum that passed, we just obtained the Masonic, the Freemason Masonic building, and that's going to be turned into like a tech facility. Okay. So they're remodeling that building, and there's going to be a few additional classrooms that's going to be put there. When it comes to also, they just recently started, but the pre-K program, they obtained another small little facility for that to have the pre-K kids. But when it comes to actually building a brand new facility, that's not from what in the near future, from what I've been hearing, except for the turf field and the stadium and the track.
Sure. Well, let me ask you this too, because I think another topic that comes up a lot in municipalities is recreation. And, it's a township like anywhere else. More and more, listen, we think about towns like Teaneck, Bogota, townships like that, boroughs. People want to get away from city life. People want to get away from sort of like the urban aspects of, like, let's say, nearby Hudson County. So that's why they moved to Bergen County. They'll move to towns like Cliffside Park, Fort Lee to some extent, a little bit west of that. Again, Palisades Park, Bogota, Leonia. These are towns that are becoming much more attractive destinations. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are realtors. I monitor the real estate market a lot. And what I keep seeing are people looking at townships like Bogota, a great school system, great school district, just like nearby Leonia, just like Palisades Park. So it's becoming an attractive destination. Having said that, it's becoming attractive to parents to raise their kids or potentially raise their kids in townships like Bogota. What is any updates you can provide about recreation? And is that something that, again, hopefully you win on November 7th, that you take office on January 1st? Is that a department and or concept that you want to tackle as well?
So the building of the new recreational center has been an issue here in the borough for going over 6 to 8 years, I believe.
Wow.
As far as I understand it, we have a small recreational center right here up on River Road in the park, on the Olsen Park. They received about $3 million from the new apartment complex, the condo complex called the Atwater. So
Okay.
they received $3 million, and pre-COVID, they've already estimated that it's going to be about $4 million to build this brand new facility at a better location with everything that a majority of what a rec center would be. That was held off because at the time, the current council at that time, one of our oppositions wanted the entire funds at hand. So it's when you buy a house, you don't have the entire house up for cash. You take out a loan, you take out the mortgage and everything.
Sure.
So that's what was the issue. So now fast forward later, when COVID happened and everything, all the prices for all the materials skyrocketed. Now we're looking at that what happened was going to be like a $4 to $5 million project. Now looking at from $9 to $12 million project to be the exact same thing. So that was a big interest. So there's a lot of backlash from the community and about why wasn't this recreational center done back then, and all this stalling, all this arguing in the council, and now it's completely very expensive. So they're trying to now get, from my understanding, there's two different options. There's a smaller recreational center with half a basketball court for basically the same size, for the same amount of what was going to be the bigger recreational center of the original project. So it just doesn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense to me. The kids need a place to go. I understand maybe there's a little bit of programs that are not going on, like they want to increase maybe basketball or anything like that. I know it's not appealing to the kids right now of what the rec center is.
Sure.
It's wanting to bring in the men. So I believe once I get into the council that we can revisit the original rec center that was going to be built and see if we can put it out to bid and find a better deal, because it's going to be expensive. We're already in that. It's going to be expensive regardless.
Absolutely. Listen, folks, Bidenomics, everything's expensive. I'm just joking. I don't make it that I don't want to be that hyperbolic, but you're right though. Supplies, everything is just becoming more expensive to build, and certainly it, as you mentioned, just delays projects that are necessary, like that one. Let me ask you this, folks. It's 7:37 here on the East Coast. Here we're live on Jersey First TV. We're wrapping up shortly with Bogota Council candidate Marco Navarro here on the show. Marco, looking at the government type there, it's my understanding that the current mayor, Chris Kellerman, his term ends later this year, right? He's not running for re-election. Is that correct?
He is retiring.
He's retiring. Okay. Having said that, from your experience and what you've seen thus far, what are some highlights, and really, how do you look at the legacy of Mayor Kellerman as his career is coming to a close later this year?
First, Mayor Kellerman, he is an outstanding individual. He is one of the most sincere, kind-hearted, soft-spoken individual, very intelligent. His father was also mayor of Bogota, so I was a second-generation mayor. He's just a very outstanding individual. I'm looking up to him as hopefully one day be a mayor, to be just as him. There's a very, very big shoes to fill for Danielle, but she's going to be her own personality. But he's done an outstanding job. I think he's such an outstanding, great person. He actually married me and my wife when we first came in Bogota.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. Has he endorsed your ticket?
Absolutely. He's endorsed all of us on the ticket.
Wow. Well, listen, that's a big shot in the arm. And again, especially at a local level, when the current mayor, who is retiring, that's fine, is endorsing a ticket. I think it speaks volumes about the level of confidence that he has in not just you, but your running mates as well. So I think it's a very interesting race, folks. As November 7th is really quickly around the corner, I think it's one of the more interesting local races that you definitely want to keep an eye on in Bergen County. Marco, before I let you go, we've gotten to know Marco Navarro, the candidate, but let's get to know Marco the guy. All right, so a quick Q&A, lightning round, as they say. So let's get to it here. White wine or red wine?
Oh, I'll go with white wine, Moscatos.
Okay. Oh, very nice. Okay. DC or Marvel?
Oh, that's very upsetting. I'm more of a DC fan, but I'm not been too happy of how their movie line has been going on.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm deeply disappointed. I mean, I'm a Batman fan through and through, but I am deeply disappointed in DC.
I'm very disappointed. I think they need to bring Zack Snyder back.
Well, hey, listen, that's blasphemy to some people. Hey, tranquilo. You know what I'm saying? Some people might go after you.
I took it personal. It's like an insult.
No, I got you. Listen, I love Batman, but I've become such a Marvel fan that whether it's a show on Disney Plus, a movie coming out, whatever, I'm excited. Listen, I just want Deadpool 3 to come out. Okay, I'm as excited about Deadpool 3 as anything. Yankees or Mets?
Not a baseball much fan. Surprisingly,
okay.
More of the soccer guy.
Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. NFL here, Giants or Jets?
Same. Not much of a NFL
really?
person. But if I have to pick, I always pick the hometown. So I would say Giants.
Okay, as you can see, I'm devoted to Cowboy Nation. Yeah. So I'm always there, baby. Cowboy Nation. Knicks or Nets?
Knicks or Nets? I'm gonna go with the Nets, the original New Jersey Nets.
Okay, very nice. Now we're both soccer fans. I'm Cuban and Colombian, obviously growing up with soccer, football, the real football, as they say.
Absolutely.
So I know you're Ecuadorian. You'll always root for the Ecuadorian national team. That's a given. What's your favorite club team?
Barcelona all the way.
Barcelona, as in Barcelona in La Liga, or
Barcelona La Liga in Spanish.
La Liga. Okay, well, I'm a Real.
After them is Real Madrid.
I'm a Real guy. Yeah, it's. I'm looking forward to see how this tournament comes up. Obviously, the Champions League and everything else. Favorite cuisine?
I stick to the Hispanics. Arroz con pollo y habichuelas.
Okay, but specifically, what cuisine? Like what country?
Cuban.
All right. Listen, I'm the same way. I mean, I love my dad. I love Colombian. Well, I like Colombian women more than the food.
Second.
Yeah,
I coming out of the restaurant smelling like onions.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I like Colombian women more than the food. So, I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, listen, you don't have to ask me twice to go to Noches and check out these bartenders there. It's crazy. But having said
the first thing I was looking for in Bogota when I first moved was a Noches.
Oh, listen, I can't blame you for that one. I mean, there's a great Noches on Route 46 that, my God, they have like where they find these servers and bartenders. I don't know. It's like, Jesus Christ, my God. But in all seriousness, I'm the same way with you. Cuban food all the way. Send me to Rumba, any of the Rumbas here in Hudson County. I know that there's one in Bergen County on Route 17. They're opening up a couple other Rumbas. There's a great Mambo restaurant on Route 22 in Union, New Jersey. So I definitely love that. Last question, and I think this is a more critical thinking question. Since it is election season, favorite American president?
Favorite American president? That's a tough one. I would say I'm in the mix. I like Ronald Reagan the most. Okay. And then my second one would be George W. Bush.
Okay, Junior. Okay, very nice. Hey, listen, great picks. I can't disagree with that. Mine's Abraham Lincoln, but that's sort of an easy one just to say, well, everyone loves Lincoln, right? The father of the Republican Party. Marco, before I let you go, man, you've been such a gentleman. I know it's been a long day for you. Obviously, I know you want to knock on a few more doors. You want to phone bank, obviously reach out to potential voters during this election season. Folks, I don't like to make a lot of predictions here. I don't like to endorse a lot of people. That's not, what a broadcast journalist like me should be doing. But folks, if there's ever a race you want to look at and focus on coming up on November the 7th, ladies and gentlemen, it's in the borough of Bogota. And when we think about choices and what can bring Bogota to a better position, what can move the borough forward, I would argue it's council candidates like my guest tonight, Marco Navarro. So I'm rooting for you guys openly as well as your running mates. It's important to have good fiscal policies and just really preserve the quality of life that is present right now in Bogota. And I just have a feeling you guys are going to do that. So I'm openly rooting for you and your ticket on November the 7th. Folks, again, register to vote. If you're not already registered, you have choices, and you have a great one right here tonight on November the 7th with Marco Navarro and his ticket coming up on Election Day. Marco, I want to thank you for your time. I'll give you the last word here on Real Talk.
Just want to say thank you for having me. This has been a very interesting and very fun interview. This is also a big journey for me. Like I said, I'm new in politics, so I'm learning as I'm going. I'm learning a lot. Learned a lot from being in a Hudson County boy, Union City. But now everything that I learned from there, hopefully I can bring it to Bogota, and hopefully I can serve this community to the best of my ability.
I'll say this. I spoke with Danielle a few weeks back. Hell of a lady. I think she's going to make a fine mayor. And young man, I think you'll make a good council person, to say the very least, in Bogota. So best of luck to you. Real quick, any social media links, any websites, anything as we approach Election Day?
We only have a Facebook account. It's Fede Connors Navarro for Bogota. Plain and simple, just like from there. Fede Connors Navarro for Bogota. Yeah.
Oye, hombre, suerte. Go get them on November 7th. And now, should you win, and I think you will win November 7th, your ticket, are you going to be a regular in 2024 on this show? Can I get that promise from you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And we'll have to grab a dinner somewhere, since we both like Cuban food. We'll have to go get some a nice churrasco, arroz con frijoles negros, unos tostones, maybe a flan. Definitely, it'd be great and to do that.
I'm due for churrasco.
Okay, you know what? Hey, why not have a celebratory dinner? I think we'll look forward to that after Election Day. Folks, he is Marco Navarro, council candidate in the borough of Bogota, my guest tonight on Real Talk. Marco, have a great night, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Folks, wonderful candidate there in the borough of Bogota, Marco Navarro. Folks, again, elections have consequences. Make sure you go out and vote on November the 7th for Marco Navarro, a great, great council candidate, along with his ticket, looking to continue to make Bogota the wonderful municipality that it is. And they'll be in good hands with Marco Navarro on the town council. So make sure you vote accordingly, folks, on Election Day coming up on November the 7th. Folks, don't go anywhere. You know what time it is. It's time for Final Thoughts. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is election season. And whether it's council races coming up on November the 7th, whether it's U.S. Senate races in 2024, or even gubernatorial races in 2025 in the state of New Jersey, you can always rely on, the propagandists that masquerade as journalists in New Jersey to give you their 2 cents, whether it's their level of sanctimony, fake moral outrage, or just being clowns, which seems to be quite evident in Garden State media. And folks, when we talk about clowns in Garden State media, and we talk about propagandists and the perpetual virtue signalers and the perpetual martyrs crying anti-Semitism at every turn, at every minute of the day, folks, you can always rely, of course, on Alan Steinberg. And it's always interesting to me. I mean, this photo that never gets old for me. But, Alan Steinberg, he's a really interesting person in New Jersey media. He's a guy, listen, I'll give him his due. Served, very proudly in the Navy. I thank him for his service. Obviously working for the George W. Bush administration in the EPA. What good that did, I don't know, since the EPA is probably one of the more dysfunctional federal agencies that I can think of in Washington. But, obviously, Ali decided to transition to media. And when you read his columns from time to time, it just makes you laugh. And the latest, well, I hate to call it column. I think it's more of a sort of propaganda manifesto that comes from Alan Steinberg. And it's very interesting. It's the latest one that he publishes for the propaganda site that's known as Insider NJ. And he decides to label it, "The Democratic Power Brokers Are Vastly Underrating Fulop." Ali decides to start with I'll give you a couple liners here during the article here. The Democratic power brokers are vastly underrating Jersey City Mayor Stephen Fulop in his campaign for the 2025 gubernatorial nomination. I know these power brokers, and I like almost all of them personally. He always says that. Literally, Alan Steinberg is like the Jewish Stephen A. Smith. Like, he likes everybody. He knows everybody. God knows if he just met them. Who knows? When it comes to Stephen Fulop, though, however, they have an unbelievable arrogance. They flat out do not like him. Their view is that they can determine the outcome of the 2025 Democratic gubernatorial primary based on the endorsements of the county Democratic chairs alone. Not so fast, folks. Now, the Fulop campaign is a virtual replica of the successful 2001 outsider Republican gubernatorial primary campaign of another Jersey City mayor, Brett Schundler. In that primary, Schundler only had the county GOP organizational line endorsement in one county, Monmouth. Yet he won the June 2001 primary over the GOP establishment candidate, late Congressman Bob Franks, by a double-digit margin. Now, the main difference between Schundler and Fulop is that Brett lost the general election to the Democratic opponent, Jim McGreevey, mayor out of Woodbridge, due to the gun issue and the huge Democratic registration edge. In the 2025 gubernatorial general election, Fulop would have no such obstacles, thus enabling him to be a virtual prohibitive favorite over his Republican opponent. Now, to win a primary, especially against the establishment organization, you need three things: money, message, and organization. If you have these three assets, your need of the county party organizational ballot is very substantially diminished. And at this point, Stephen Fulop has a very good head start on all three of these components over any prospective primary opponents. Now, you still will have the county Democratic endorsement line position in his home county of Hudson, but if you have superior money, message, and organization over your primary opponents, who needs the line anyway? So, of course, he goes on to say, and I'm not going to read you the whole arc. I mean, I don't want to bore you. Obviously it's 10 to 8. And while Ali is sleeping right now, he's probably not watching the episode live. He went to sleep hours ago, right? What's interesting is talking about, for example, all the endorsements he's received from Jersey City mayors, which is fine. And let me just preface this by saying, I like Stephen Fulop, the person. He and I have not always gotten along. And anyone who knows me in Hudson County knows that, whatever, hostility or friction that me and Stephen Fulop have is really over the fact of basically 10 years ago not being more accessible to interviews when I was hosting a show with Hudson County TV. And obviously, I mean, that's all been documented. I don't need to rehash the past. But certainly, I mean, that's pretty much at the source of any hostility that's ever existed between me and Stephen Fulop. I like Stephen personally. I went to his mixture last year at the League of Municipalities. Certainly any events that Stephen Fulop has presently, I mean, whether it's at the Surf City venue in downtown Jersey City or anywhere else, I have no problem going to see Steve. I have no problem shaking his hand. He has no problem shaking mine, right? But the problem is, again, it's interesting as, you go on in the column here. Ali says, it is said that the Democratic power brokers do not like Fulop. The Menendez scandal, however, is having a spillover effect in discrediting Democratic political power brokers in general. Fulop can wear their antipathy almost as a badge of honor. The year 2025 looks like the ideal year for a Democratic outsider to mount a successful challenge to the party establishment. Fulop is the ideal candidate to do that. The Democratic power brokers will have to wake up before it's too late. And in this regard, they must study the Schundler primary campaign of 2001. Who knows? Brett Schundler may make an ideal chair of Republicans for Fulop in the general election of 2025. Well, again, this is where, and we all know that, Uncle Ali, Sleepy Al, gets a lot of things wrong. He's another thing he gets wrong. Okay. Fulop is going to have the county line. Okay. Chairman Anthony Veneri has come out wholeheartedly in support of Stephen Fulop. Now, the problem that Steve's going to have, and again, this is not me being a hater. This is me being a political scientist, because I am one. Okay. And being a broadcast journalist as well, I can give you, and again, in my infinite wisdom, I can give you a pretty good and concise political opinion here. The problem with Fulop is not going to be getting support from the county line. He's going to have that. He's been fundraising and he has a head start over everybody else. But again, ladies and gentlemen, let's remember something. There's a reason why the emperor Governor Phil Murphy, who, thank the Lord, his term is up in December of 2025, and not a minute sooner, in my opinion, with how much, the emperor has destroyed the state. Okay. There's a reason that Phil Murphy and the state Democratic chair, Leroy Jones, have not endorsed Fulop. Now, normally when a guy comes out, or girl, and announces their candidacy early and they're raising money at a rate like Fulop is, you would think that the emperor and Leroy would jump on board the Fulop train. They haven't done that yet. Okay. Now there's speculation as to why. Maybe the governor has his own favorite. Maybe Leroy Jones has his own favorite. That's very much the case. And from the people that I talk to and the sources that talk to me will tell me they're waiting to see who else jumps in the field. There's been a lot of whispers, ladies and gentlemen. We keep hearing U.S. Representatives Mikey Sherrill and Josh Gottheimer, two people that can raise money, and they can raise it quickly. Now, again, we're looking at Josh Gottheimer and Mikey Sherrill as two incumbents next year that are going to be running to win re-election for their House seats. Now, having said that, does that mean that they can't raise money next year should they win re-election and immediately announce for the June 2025 primary? Of course. Folks, here's a name that should give you a moment of pause. And here's a name that should give Sleepy Al a moment of pause. Mike Solomon, as good an operative as there is in New Jersey politics. Okay? Guess who he has aligned himself with? That's Josh Gottheimer. Okay? Who's a favorite of Governor Murphy and State Chairman Leroy Jones? U.S. Representative Mikey Sherrill. Okay? Now, again, the timing isn't great for Mikey Sherrill and Josh Gottheimer because they're going to be running for re-election next year in a climate where Democrats have a lot to answer for, where, hey, the economy is so great, right? We keep hearing about Joe Biden and Bidenomics, and the economy is amazing. Yeah, well, why am I paying $4 for gas? Yeah, riddle me that one, Batman, as they say, right? Economy is so great. Why am I paying more in groceries? Why am I paying more when I take out girls for dinners? Okay. Why is it costing me more to go party on the weekends? Okay. Why is it costing me more just to get basic supplies for the house? Yeah, the economy is great, right? I mean, it's amazing. These are the issues that incumbent Democrats at the national level have to deal with. Now, whether or not Josh Gottheimer and Mikey Sherrill are going to have a competitive campaign remains to be seen. We have to look at who Republicans are going to run in 2024 against, let's say, two of the more seasoned campaigners in the House of Representatives. Once again, Mikey Sherrill and Josh Gottheimer. Now, we all know the ongoing controversy with the senior United States Senator, Robert Menendez. We all know about this, right? Okay. Folks, this is the thing. And I talked about it last week. It seems like every liberal, every progressive, every Democrat seems to be piling on U.S. Senator Bob Menendez. I was very clear last week, and I'll be clear about it again. Our Constitution, our legal system gives us the presumption of innocence, right? Hey, innocent until proven guilty. That's the core of our justice system. Okay? Now, if you believe in the presumption of innocence, then you need to believe it across the board. Not just for Democrats, but also for Republicans. Because as we all know, going into next year, we have one guy running for president who will be in court, and we're going to have one U.S. senator here in New Jersey that's going to be running for re-election also in court. So if you believe in the presumption of innocence, which I do, let's give it to everybody. Regardless of what letter hangs next to your name, either you believe in due process, either you believe in the presumption of innocence, or you don't. You don't get to pick and choose, folks, who you like and who's guilty and who's not. You either believe, again, in the presumption that you are innocent until proven guilty, that you will be judged by a jury of your peers. Okay? That is what matters. Okay? And obviously, we know Democrats smell blood in the water. Here in New Jersey, there's been some whispers about whether or not Mikey Sherrill or Josh Gottheimer are interested in that Senate seat. That does not appear to be the case. Okay? Now, the idea, and let's be fair, folks. Okay? Someone like Sleepy Al, who will never waste a moment to cry anti-Semitism over anything. Let's be honest. Okay? If he can, he would. Now, I'm not saying that the dislike by some power brokers in New Jersey against Stephen Fulop is exactly that. It's not. I have no evidence to prove otherwise. I'm surprised Sleepy Al didn't cry that, because he tends to cry anti-Semitism for almost everything else. And we know, because if you read his columns, it's as clear as day. It's not like I'm not making this up, folks. It's there. Okay? No one cries about it more than Alan Steinberg. Having said that, the dislike for Stephen Fulop isn't anything along religious lines, ethnic lines, or anything. It's not even, I think, even along political lines. It's really the basis of, in Jersey City, it's a very different city. It's almost like two Jersey cities. Yes, if you listen, I love partying in downtown Jersey City. I love going to the Ashford. I love going to Boots and Bones. Shout out to Connor and Kenny Caulfield, respectively, for always spoiling me and my crew when we visit their venues. Or going to Barcade, or going down Grove Street, or going down anywhere in downtown Jersey City. Maybe some parts of the Heights. Do I go to the Factory on the South Side? Hell no. It's dangerous down there. Or other parts of the South Side. So again, these are questions that Stephen Fulop has to answer for in a general election, perhaps, and even during the primary season. Now, Steve was smart. Steve announced first. He's been raising money at a rate that, let's be honest, Mikey Sherrill and Josh Gottheimer have to play a considerable game of catch-up. Should they win next November and then basically just announce their candidacy for the gubernatorial primary the very next day? So it pretty much leaves them less than 6 months to raise money and raise support. Okay? But, going back to the column here, it's not about underrating Stephen Fulop. It's about the fact that, yes, there's county support for Stephen Fulop, but is he going to get statewide Democratic support? Folks, again, there's a reason why Phil Murphy and Leroy Jones haven't endorsed him yet. I don't know what it is specifically, because let's be honest, when it's that overwhelming of a candidacy, when someone is head and shoulders above everybody else, you would think that the governor and the state chairman of the Democratic Party in New Jersey would just jump on board right away. There's a reason they haven't. I can't really name it right now, not because I don't want to, it's because I can't. I don't really have something specific. I can speculate, folks. I can hypothesize, but I'm not going to do that. I'll let this sort of scenario play itself out. There's a lot of moving parts here. Okay? But once again, for Sleepy Al to say that Stephen Fulop is, that people are underrating Stephen Fulop, that's not the case. He's raising money. He's getting endorsements. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why power brokers statewide, not just Phil Murphy and Leroy Jones, we're talking about like even the most powerful of county chairs, right? Middlesex, Union, Essex, Bergen. Okay, not to say that the Hudson chair isn't powerful. Of course, they all are, but there's a reason why they haven't endorsed him yet. So before any coronations, before you start crowning people, Ali, let's be fair and be intellectually honest. I know that's a struggle for you, right? Because I read your columns every so often. I mean, listen, again, if I need a cure for insomnia, hey, your columns work right away. Okay? I don't even have to worry about it. I'm like, having trouble falling asleep tonight. Oh, that's right. Let me log online and see what Alan Steinberg has published. And sure enough, it'll probably put you all to sleep. It certainly does for me. We'll find out what happens in these primary days, folks, but a lot to look out for as the gubernatorial election draws near, really, in 2025. Folks, before I call it a night here, and again, listen, if you ever need a good humor, if you ever need, a quick laugh, you can always rely on Alan Steinberg. That's for sure. Folks, before I call it a night, as you can see here, rocking the pink during the month of October. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And here on Jersey First TV and on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe, we are proud to support the American Cancer Society throughout the month of October, as we know that October is indeed Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'll get to that in a moment, but I also want to thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for this incredible traffic for the month of September. 21,000 views and counting, all organic, nothing boosted, okay? People tune in because, hey, they find the show interesting. They find the show to be informative. And most importantly, they find it to be stimulating. So to all of you at home that continue to help make this show a success, since jumping to Jersey First TV in January of 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, best decision I ever made and wonderful boss to work for. And I know she doesn't like me dropping her name too much, but Rosemary Becky is indeed, I would argue, the best boss I've ever worked for in media. Hands down, undisputed. I'm not just saying that because, I adore her and she tolerates me, right? Because I'm sure I give her a lot of headaches. But best decision I ever made was coming to Jersey First TV. And best decision I ever made was to trust all of you who tune in every single week. And folks, the numbers are there. 21,000 plus and counting throughout the month of September. Let's keep it going here. I cannot thank you enough. And it's interesting, while we have propagandists masquerading as journalists in the state of New Jersey, and, your little Mickey Mouse activists with your little Mickey Mouse shows, the only traffic let's be honest, it's maybe you're driving on Kennedy Boulevard or you're driving on Route 3 or the Jersey Turnpike or the Garden State Parkway. That's probably the only traffic you'll ever see. That's not the case here on Jersey First TV. Folks, before I call it a night, once again, I do want to remind you all that here on Jersey First, we're supporting the American Cancer Society during the month of October since it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I do want you, again, as a reminder, to mark it on your calendars for Thursday night, October the 26th, to come and party with me and my amazing co-hosts, the lovely Christina Kostovsky, Sandra Ramirez, Courtney Gilroy, and of course, the incredible Vladimir Carrero, as together we will host the 2023 edition of the Professor's Quest to Save Breast to benefit making strides against breast cancer and the American Cancer Society. And folks, for over 100 years, the American Cancer Society has been working diligently and been working hard with communities all across this country to help families cope with the ongoing problems that are all forms of cancer. But I can tell you right now, the American Cancer Society is doing great work every single year to help families and to help all of us that deal with sort of let's be honest, folks, the tragedy and the agony that is cancer in all its forms. And coming up on Thursday night, October the 26th at the world-famous Lolita's, located along River Road in North Bergen, New Jersey. We'll be greeting you at the door. We'll have wonderful prizes. We'll have outstanding music all night long by DJ Ziggy Roman. Wonderful networking opportunities, ladies and gentlemen. Happy hour specials all night long, even for dinner. Come out, ladies and gentlemen. Support a Professor's Quest to Save Breasts on Thursday night, October the 26th, starting at 7 p.m. I'll be rocking pink all month long here on the show. We'll be rocking pink as well on all of the content here on Jersey First, and I'm proud to do that. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, mark on your calendars for Thursday night, October the 26th, and together we'll defeat breast cancer once and for all. And that's our show for this week. Once again, I want to thank Bogota Council candidate Marco Navarro for an outstanding program, ladies and gentlemen, this week. A great interview, and a guy who I think, in my opinion, along with his ticket, represent the best hope for the borough of Bogota coming up on November the 7th. Please vote accordingly, folks. And if you're not registered to vote, please do so. An outstanding young man, a guy with great ideas, a great vision, a great candidate. And I want to thank him for his time this evening here on Real Talk. And folks, always remember, on all of our social media platforms, make sure you like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on Facebook, of course. Like us as well. Make sure you follow Jersey First TV on Instagram and Twitter. Also, follow me at the Fernando Zone on both Instagram and Twitter. Of course, subscribe to Jersey First TV on YouTube and without a doubt, wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First TV and all of our great content and take it with you wherever you want and wherever you want during the month of October and, of course, for the foreseeable future. I can't say enough, ladies and gentlemen, how proud I am to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, folks. It's Jersey First TV. Brand new episodes of The Nader Narrative, hosted by the incredible Elizabeth Nader, premiere every Thursday, and also brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap, hosted by AJ Malilo and Sima Rimbolo, also premiere on Thursdays. You can always check out brand new episodes of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe every Monday night here on Facebook Live via StreamYard, and also on the Jersey First YouTube page, as well as on LinkedIn, and of course, all the aforementioned social media platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot say it enough. If it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Real Talk right here with Jersey First TV. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, Top 50 Latino, as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine. Without a doubt, the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media. And certainly, folks, the traffic tells you every single month the people's choice and the people's voice, and certainly the most handsome face that runs the place. It is me, Fernando Uribe. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again. And by the way, did I mention let's go Cowboys? Nice win yesterday. Wonderful tea, little victory tea to celebrate the Cowboys thrashing of the New England Patriots. It's on to San Francisco this Sunday for Sunday Night Football. Let's see what the Cowboys are made of as they visit their arch rivals, the 49ers, down in Santa Clara. We'll see what they have, folks. But again, always remember, please party responsibly. Happy October to you all. Rock that pink throughout the month of October, since it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Folks, I cannot thank you enough for tuning in every single week. Always remember, if you can't be good, be bad, baby. We'll see you next time here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. And thanks for stopping by.